In this video, I'm going to outline 3 of the biggest problems in the crypto industry. If you're participating in this industry in some way, whether it's from a retail side, i.e. you're trading, investing and buying, or you're in the business side, you need to understand these problems because they're going to influence the success that you have in this market. So that's the purpose of creating this video, to give you a bit of an insight from my perspective, as I'm in the trenches of this industry every single day, have been for the last 3.5 years, helping projects launch and grow. So I hope that I have a really good understanding of how this industry functions, which is enabling me to identify what the biggest problems are. And like I said, if you're in the market as I am, you need to understand what the problems are because they're going to influence you at some point in time. So having that awareness is super important. But yeah, there's a lot of issues with crypto, but these are the 3 biggest ones, and I'm just going to run through them now. So the first problem is misaligned incentives. Now, what I mean by this is, I'll give you a scenario. So if you want to be successful in, let's say, the tech world, and you create a tech startup, your main reward is going to be building a successful tech startup that's worth a lot of money. You own equity in it and you sell that equity for potentially millions or tens of millions of dollars. But this doesn't happen overnight, right? You see these guys that might have created infinite wealth and they've been building a startup or a company for 10 years, 24/7, 7 days a week, sacrificing everything in their life to make this happen. And we only hear about the success stories. We don't hear about the other 99% that put in that work and never get the result. The point I'm trying to get at is, to create huge success takes so much effort and time and sacrifice. And the people that do that are the ones that get rewarded in most circumstances. In crypto, this is not how it works. The guys that are trying to build the future of this space, the builders that are putting in all of the time in the world, effort, resources, and making all the sacrifices, are not the ones that are rewarded. It doesn't work logically in crypto. The reason why is because people can come into this space, start building something for real, and then realize that an absolute idiot has just made $5 million by launching some meme coins. And they start to think, wow, this guy's been in the market for 2 months and he's made a few $1,000,000. I've been trying to build something real for 3 years, putting all of this work, effort and time in, and I'm earning minimum wage and I'm just trying to build value in the equity stock that I own in the company, but the money is going into things like meme coins. Why is it not coming into my project that's trying to do something for good? So this is what I mean by misaligned incentives. We are rewarding people that are coming into the space and not adding any value. They're coming into this space and they're extracting. Someone coming in and launching a meme coin that lasts 2 days and then selling their supply and walking away with $100,000. That is extraction, okay? Someone would have to work a whole year in a very intense, important job to earn that amount of money. But some random dude can just come in and launch a coin, do a bit of marketing and leave with $100,000 and make a yearly salary without having to do a lot, right? This is the problem. This is a misalignment in incentives. We're not rewarding the people that actually come in and really want to try and put the effort in to build the future of the space. We are rewarding individuals that are coming in, and in this circumstance and this example, just adding to the casino in crypto, which isn't helping the space, is extracting from the space. That's the first thing. And this goes even further along the line in terms of other providers in the market. I've just given you one example, but there is such a misalignment of incentives across the whole industry. So when you are that talented builder that's coming in and trying to do something for real, and then you see these other people getting super rich within short periods of time, not having to make the sacrifices that you are, your mindset starts to get altered. And I've seen many good people that came here for the right reasons be changed because they've realized that actually they don't need to add value and build something proper and make all these sacrifices. They can get the incentive from not having to do all of this. So that needs to change so that we can encourage the future of this industry. We need to start rewarding the people that are building, solving problems, really utilizing the use cases of this technology, not the people that are just coming in and extracting money. The second biggest problem, liquidity. This is a problem. Now, there's a few parts to liquidity. The first part is that there are now millions of tokens in the crypto space. You put the clock back 4 or 5 years ago, a new altcoin launches, it could 50, 100x because it's one of few coins that are launching. Now there are millions and millions of tokens. And I'm going to give you some context on this from CoinGecko Terminal. So they basically tracked that by 2025, there was almost 7 million tokens in existence. And of course, platforms like Pump Farm and the meme coin mania really kind of pushed this on. But essentially, this has accelerated the death rate of projects because 3.7 million of these tokens have now stopped trading. It's almost 52%. So this is mental. 3.7 million tokens have died. And there's still millions of tokens that are out there live on the market. And when we look at Q1 2025 alone, there was 1.8 million tokens that have collapsed. Like I said, 4 years ago, this wasn't the case. There wasn't this many tokens in circulation. Now there is. And the problem is that every time someone launches one of these new coins that might die in 3 days, there's liquidity from the whole market that's going to go in. It might only be 20, 30, 40K, but if you times it over by 1 million, that's a lot of money that's being extracted away from real projects and real markets in crypto. So that creates a liquidity problem where there's altcoins now that are really building and working hard and have built real solutions. And money is coming out of their token, making their markets illiquid and going into stuff like this, into stuff that is just extraction game. So that's a real problem for liquidity. The fact that there are so many tokens now, one person might end up with Solana in 50 different tokens, whereas back in the day, they might have Sol in maybe 2 or 3 or whatever their investment was in 2 or 3 different tokens. So it's really have an effect on a lot of the altcoins and their liquidity now, which is a problem because if you have an illiquid market, it only takes someone to dump a bit of supply and they could really kill your token. So this is a big problem. The other part of liquidity is blockchain based. So there are so many layer ones now that liquidity moves from chain to chain. So when a new L1 launches, liquidity might say be moved off of Ethereum onto Sui as an example. And all this is just spreading the liquidity across so many different chains, which again make it harder environments for people to prosper in. So with so many L1s and blockchains coming around, if we end up having hundreds of L1s and liquidity spread across all of these different blockchains, then the ecosystems of each blockchain is going to have thin liquidity, which is going to make it a hard environment for people to build successfully on deploy tokens on so on. Again, back in the day, we might have had a couple of blockchains and all the liquidity was concentrated on there. And the biggest problem with both of these parts of liquidity, whether it's the number of tokens or the number of blockchains and ecosystems being built, and this is dispersion of liquidity, the biggest problem is that it's fine doing this if you have infinite amount of liquidity coming into the market, but we don't have that. I think a lot of retail that we're going to get into crypto are already in crypto, and they might participate when the market picks up for sure, but they're not participating all year round, or they're just holding tokens waiting to exit. The liquidity is going to come from institutions, and institutions are extremely smart players, and they're not just going to go, oh, let me just pump $100 million into this blockchain ecosystem. They're probably going to hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, other big alts, and create those into big markets that they have the majority control over. They're not going to be injecting liquidity into the millions of other tokens or into the hundreds of other L1 ecosystems outside of the majors. So yeah, that's a really tough issue and needs to be solved. And the final one is extraction. This relates to the 2 previous points, but as I mentioned, the incentive is very much, and this comes down to both those points, the number of failed tokens. Like I said, if a token can launch in 2 days, it can pull over 20, 30K in liquidity, and then the token dies. Someone's walked away with 20, 30K that we're now missing from the rest of the liquidity in crypto. That might be getting spent on Lamborghinis and yachts. I don't know. The point here is that there is extraction from this industry because which causes liquidity problems. It also comes down to that misalignment again, where people don't have to work their asses off to try and get a reward out of this industry. So it's pretty crazy, but I'm not going to go too much about extraction purely because I kind of feel like it coincides with liquidity problems and misalignment of incentives. Now, when assessing all of this, I look at it as an opportunity if you're in the know and you understand this, because you're going to know where to focus your time, energy, and resources when you can objectively look at the market and understand how to avoid extractors, how to, focus on people with the right aligned incentives, and also on ecosystems and tokens that have longevity and sustainability because they're liquid. And I've always said that being on the business side of crypto helps massively with all of this. And right now, if you understand this stuff and you can get into the business side of crypto and you can create a project that has a sustainable token, you're willing to put in the work, and you have the right aligned incentives, and you can nurture and build a solid liquid market, you could be one of very few tokens that are in that position after this cycle that we're currently in, that then gains loads of traction because you did things the right way. You didn't extract, you didn't have misaligned incentives, and you focused on what's important. And I feel like that's a huge opportunity, whether you're like dabbling in crypto right now, or you're just an online entrepreneur looking to enter into the space. This is all going to change. Extraction has to stop. There's only so much extraction that can take place. Misalignment of incentives, this is going to change. There's going to be regulatory frameworks that are going to put this out of business, and people are going to wake up and smell the coffee, right? I think there's a real opportunity here to actually come into crypto and build something properly, because you're going to be one of very few that are doing that. In the description of this video, I'm going to drop a link to a free training. It's a 3-step crypto launch system process. It shows anyone that's looking or considering to get into the business side of crypto, create their own project, how to do it in 3 simple steps. So definitely take a look at that if you're interested in seeing the other side of this industry and doing things the real way. I think it's a huge opportunity, like I've said multiple times, because things are going to change real quick and you could be at the forefront of that. I hope to see you on there. If I don't, then I hope to see you on the next video.